Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge, day number 4. My name is Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, and a big good morning, afternoon, or evening to everyone joining me live here on Behance, including Eva and Anna. Eva from San Diego. If you are tuning in live, let me know where you're tuning in from. We've got Luca and Kita, Adobe Live Gus Spots in the house. Luca and Uniski, something like that, from Bulgaria. Richard and Debbie and everyone else who's joining me. Yeah, throw your name in the chat to let me know where you're tuning in from. Samuel's here, Alexandre is here, Andrew's here from Ireland, awesome. Claire from the UK. For some people, it's midnight over there, which is crazy. Thank you for tuning in at midnight, which is awesome. Lydia from Sweden and William from France. Super cool. So, day number 4 of the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge is kicking off. And if you're brand new to this whole experience, let me explain a little bit about what this is. So, if you head over to behance.net/Daily Creative Challenge, you'll be able to see this landing page. And go there, you get all the information you possibly need about this challenge. We kicked off on Tuesday with a kickoff stream the day before on Monday. And this time around, it's a progressive challenge. So we've been tackling a movie app experience, starting from fairly, the beginning, not all the way at the beginning, because when you're developing apps, you probably have a bunch more steps before this, including brainstorming and sketching and branding and a lot of different things. But we started kind of from the beginning of the design phase, and every single day we're slowly progressing through this application. So when you land on this landing page, if you haven't hit that register button at the top, definitely hit it. That way every single morning at 8 o'clock Pacific time, you'll get a notification that we've released a new challenge. And then you're gonna join me Monday to Friday, 11:30 Pacific time, to get a little bit inspiration on what you can possibly do with that day's challenge. And then you're gonna share using the keyword XD Daily Challenge on Behance so I can jump in there, view your stuff, and then maybe showcase some of it live on air. And then you have until May 27th, I believe that's next Monday, not the one coming up, but the one after that, to complete all the challenges, get them in there so we can take a look at them. But as I mention all the time, this is not a competition, so if you need a few extra days to, really polish up those designs that you've been working on, definitely take a few extra days. We do this so that you can learn something new, build up your skills in UI and UX, Adobe XD. Maybe many of you have never used Adobe XD before, which is awesome. And if you haven't, definitely throw it in the chat. I'd be interested to see who all of you are. So, down here, you can grab XD for free if you've never used it before. You can also join us on Discord. And right over here, here's our Discord server. I believe we're almost at 4,000 people in here, and you can introduce yourself, let us know who you are, where you live, what you do for a living. Are you UI, UX designer, or maybe you're a doctor who is interested in UI and UX. We have, a few of those in there. You can get feedback, give feedback, ask questions, chat, give suggestions for the challenges. Discord's a good time. So if you just want to connect with the community, talk with fellow designers, definitely jump in there. We've got Debbie, who's a newbie at either Adobe XD or UI and UX. So it's awesome to have you, Debbie. Hopefully you learned something new. And then down here are the challenges. So on Tuesday, we started with a splash screen and a landing page. We went on to a login experience. Then we jumped to a home screen. And then today we're tackling the good old hamburger menu. Excuse me, the hamburger menu is making me hungry. So, Sally says, this is my first XD project. Awesome. Rich has not used XD before, but learning all week about it. And Ayushi has also just started using XD. I love this. Car's asking, is there also Slack? There is a Slack server where I think we're moving over to Discord because there's more functionality there. We're also on Slack, we kind of ran out of room. There's a file limitation, thing like that. But there's a Slack server as well, but we're kind of focusing on Discord right now. But I love this about these challenges, is there's so many people there who have never used Adobe XD before, just want to get into it, and this is the perfect place to do it. Also, if you've just to plug myself for a second, if you've never used XD, if you go to letsxd.com, I've got a ton of videos, including a lot of videos on the brand new update that shipped on Tuesday. And if you're brand new, jump into designing, prototyping, and sharing. These are kind of all from the perspective of someone who has never used XD before, so you can learn a lot. And then you can break down and go through some of the tools that makes XD shine. Now, before we get into today's challenge, I want to highlight a few challenges that have come in over the last few days. This one is from Christina, who put together, this is for day number 3. And she kind of took what we were working on yesterday and took it even a step further. So let me go ahead and launch this interactive prototype. There we go. So there's a cool loading animation right at the beginning. And Kita says, I can verify that website is the business. Thank you, Kita. Login experience, there we go. Login, and then Christina also incorporated the drag trigger. And all of this works beautifully on the web. And you can combine that with a tap trigger to launch the movie, and there's a timed animation there. And then you can scroll down to see more information about that movie. So awesome job, Christina. Next one is from I don't know. I'm terrible with names, but I thought this, this layout was super nice. It's really cool, this kind of sketch mock-up at the top. A little bit about this challenge, and if you are, taking part in this challenge, especially towards the end, I would really encourage you to do something very similar to this, where you put together this whole kind of exploration on why you took part in this challenge, what it is, what problems you're trying to solve. If you're looking for work, something like this can go a really long way. You can also record videos from XD if you're on the Mac version, or if you're on Windows, you can use Game Bar to record videos, embed those on Behance. You can grab the embed code as well, so you can, upload an interactive prototype. And I thought this looked really cool. He's taking a tablet, approach to this instead of a mobile approach, which is super cool. And another cool thing about the challenge is you can go in any direction that you choose. We don't have to follow exactly what we're doing. So I thought this was awesome. And then Gabriel put together this Slacker application. I thought that icon and the logo is super cute. Detective Pikachu, I can't wait to see that movie. And then there's a prototype and a little bit of a movie. So we'll very quickly skim through this. Slacker, it's walking across the screen, super cool. The login experience, more about the movies. Aladdin looks like a pretty good movie, possibly. Aquaman, haven't seen that. A lot of movies I haven't seen, but great job. And then finally, we have Kashish tweeted this to me, and I thought he did a really nice job at creating some sort of almost like 3D carousel with some perspective. You're able to modify the paths of your rectangles and shapes to give a little bit of a 3D look, and I thought that was really cool. Alrighty, so let's hop over to Adobe XD. We're gonna tackle the always exciting hamburger menu. I don't know, it's not very exciting, but it's necessary in a lot of applications, and you see it all the time. And if you're not familiar with the hamburger menu, it's basically, where is it? This little guy right here. This little, it kind of looks like a hamburger. You can get stylized with it, but it's basically 3 lines that kind of look like a hamburger. And you click on it and a menu flies out. And this is the perfect opportunity to use something like overlays in Adobe XD. Now, by the way, I just want to point out that even though I am uploading my reference file after every stream to Dropbox, which you can find a link inside of the template, I'm also making some tweaks. I'm challenging myself to kind of build upon what I design every single day. So I want to show you the progress. Let me go ahead and launch this. I did go ahead and set up time transitions. My XD is frozen. Why is it not working? Give me a second. Let me quit XD and launch it again. Gonna discard that. Give me 1 second. It's always fun live streaming, right? You never know what's gonna happen. All right, here we go. So let me select this artboard. I did set up time transition so it just goes from screen to screen to screen. And also you can combine that with auto animate to give you some really cool effects. And this is where I'm at right now. Got the login screen, it goes over to the home screen, and then slides over to show another movie. So that's what I've been working on. I will upload this to Dropbox after this stream, but let me show you how to create a lovely hamburger menu. So I have one here already, this one right here, but you might wanna know exactly how this is done. So let's zoom in here. I'm gonna grab the line tool over here to the left, and simply, draw out a line. Pretty simple, right? Now in the Properties Inspector, you can go ahead and there's a few different options. You can make the line a little bit bigger, like that. You can round out the corners or the caps. Maybe I'll make it 3 pixels large, just like that. Excuse me, I still haven't gotten rid of that cough. It's gonna kill me one day. So we've got this line. You can move it. You can grab the points, move it in, out, all around. Maybe I'll use the eyedropper over here. Select that. Make a duplicate down. Maybe make this one a little bit shorter. Again, use the eyedropper. Select that color just to give it a little bit of difference, a little bit of variation. And then one more just like that. Move that in a little bit. There we go. And again, select that color. So now we've got our menu. I'm gonna delete this one. Perfect. And we might want to be able to use this throughout not just our mobile screens, but also our, have some tea. I had a whole cup of tea already. It ain't working. We might want to use this throughout our tablet screens, our desktop screens, or mobile screens, whatever it might be. So we want to turn this into a component. So we're going to select all these layers, holding down the Shift key, and then in our Assets panel, we can press the component, the plus button beside Components. That will turn this lovely hamburger menu into a menu where we can name it Menu, and I can line it up just like this. Pop it in place. I can also drag out some guides if I wanted to make sure everything looks great. I did move this by mistake. There we go. Fancy. So we've got our menu, right? And now we can just copy this menu. Let me actually delete this one and just paste it on all the other screens. We can also select multiple screens at once and paste it as well. Now you may have noticed in my example that the menu kind of had some animation at the beginning. So even though it's a component, we can still animate this thing. So going back to this screen here, which is right before all the elements kind of fly in, I'm gonna paste it here. But this time, I'm gonna actually start adjusting the component a little bit to start kind of working on that first state. So I'm gonna just do this, drag this out, make the component a little bit bigger, move this a little bit, just move these things around, make the component a touch bigger again. There we go, move that, that looks good. All right, and now just move the component over a little bit to the side of the artboard, turn down the opacity, and that way, when the transition kicks off, you're gonna notice that menu kind of flies in and all those little hamburger menu, ingredients kind of just settle into place, which is really nice. And again, I will upload this to Dropbox so you can pick it apart and see exactly how that's done. Now, in terms of the actual menu, what we're going to do is create a separate artboard that's just going to house the menu. And to do that, I'm going to start by just duplicating this artboard. I'm going to keep it here for now, just so I can get a sense of what it'll look like, but I'm going to actually end up removing all those elements. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool from the left and simply draw out or drag out a menu across my artboard like this. I might want to turn the border off and set the fill to maybe black. I'm gonna keep this menu fairly simple because menus don't have to be too crazy, right? And maybe at the top, I might want a user profile. And I've got my guides that copied over from the previous artboard. Drag out a user profile or a user icon just like that. Right underneath, I want some text. This will be, I'll put my name here. That'll be white. And we'll go for, let's say, a medium. Or maybe even, semi-bold. Looks pretty good. Put that about here. Underneath, I might want to indicate whether or not I'm a premium member or not. I definitely am. Premium member. Might have this one a little bit smaller. You've got this really cool handle right underneath your point text. You can just drag that down, make it a little bit smaller, pop it into place. I might want this to stand out. So maybe I'll make it a little bit red, right? And maybe not so semi-bold, maybe medium. So there we go. Now, we need some actual navigation links. And the cool thing about overlays is you can have navigation links on there, and you can have them also linked to other artboards, which we might show in a future stream. So right below, I'm gonna go ahead and type out the first navigation link, which will be switch profile. Because in an app like this, you might have multiple people using the exact same account. There might be a family plan, so you might wanna do that. So I'll have switch profile, and this is a perfect opportunity to use a repeat grid. So I'm gonna press the repeat grid button right here at the top, boop, there we go, and drag out about 5 different links. and just drag this down, just like this. So we have a nice amount of space in between each one so we can easily tap on whichever link that we want. Perfect, I'm gonna hide my guides, Command and Control semicolon, and move this into place. I might wanna also move many of these elements inward, so I'm gonna select them, just give them a little bit of breathing room from the side, just like that. And now I can jump in, and this might be my saved list. This might be a link for help. Maybe this is settings, and this might be sign out. Perfect. And maybe for the sign out link, I might want an actual icon to indicate that, that's sign out. So I'm gonna hop over to Nucleo, which I use for my icons. You can also grab some icons over here in the template. If I scroll all the way here, there's a bunch of icons there you can possibly use. There's an arrow, there's a lot of different things. But for now, I'm gonna hop into trusty old Nucleo, and I have an out button right here I'm gonna use for my sign out experience. Just move that into place. Change the border to white. And whoops, and just move it over. Perfect. All right, so now that we have a little bit of a menu, we might also want some sort of an X or a close button at the top left corner. I can either draw that very easily with a pen tool, or if I'm feeling lazy, which I definitely am, I'm just gonna grab an icon of an X. That's when you know you're really lazy, when you can't even draw out an icon of an X. Or you can use the X key on your keyboard, that works too, but I'm gonna pop it right about there. All right, we also need a photo. I need a photo of myself. Do I have a photo of myself? I might. Here's a photo. Drag that in there, move it over. That looks good. Perfect. All right, so now that we have our menu, we kind of want to do something a little bit interesting with it. Maybe I want a background blur, or maybe I want to decrease the opacity. So to just see how that looks, I can decrease the opacity. It's not too bad, but maybe just to get really fancy, I'm gonna add a background blur right here over to the right in the Properties Inspector. There we go. Now, we obviously don't want a white background blur considering our text is white and all that stuff. So I'm gonna drop the brightness of this menu or the background blur, and then maybe increase the transparency, or I guess decrease the transparency, but drag it to the right. And now we have just a very subtle blur of all the elements in the background. But because this is an overlay, we actually don't want all the elements in the background, right? So in this case, in my layers panel, I'm simply going to delete all of it. So I'm gonna delete everything except the menu, select it all, and delete, just like that, right? Now, we're noticing an issue. We have the background of the actual artboard kind of in the way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select the entire artboard. Let me actually go ahead and name this menu, and simply turn off the fill over here to the right, just like that. So now we can't notice the background blur, but it is still there. And the cool thing is once we actually set this up as an overlay, it'll actually interact with the elements behind every single artboard. So how do we do that? Well, we're gonna hop into prototype mode now that the menu is ready to go. And the benefit of overlays, if you're not familiar, is that you're able to use a single element like a menu or a keyboard or a search field or whatever it might be on many, many different artboards without having to recreate it and have it on every single one, right? So I'm gonna hop in here to prototype mode. I'm gonna select the menu on this artboard, and all I'm gonna do is drag that blue handle over to this menu. And inside of this properties, we're gonna have a tap trigger because we want a user to be able to tap on that menu. But here under action, instead of transition or auto animate, we're actually gonna select overlay. And this will allow us, or overlay, there we go. And this will allow us to choose how we want the menu to appear. Do we want it to just cut or dissolve or slide left, right, up, and down? In this case, we want to slide right from the left, so we're gonna slide right. We'll have it, maybe we'll do snap, and then duration 0.4 seconds, fairly quick, right? And now we're able to move it anywhere we want. Now, we're not able to move it right now because the artboard is the exact same size. So if I went in here and actually made the artboard a little bit smaller to match the menu, and then I went back to prototype mode, now I can actually move that overlay. If I select this one over here, I can move the overlay anywhere I want, as long as it's above the fold and within the artboard bounds, right? So there we go. And now I can do, there are a few ways I can link up the next menus, but let me show you how this works. So I'm gonna press the play button, Oh yeah, we have a time transition, so that's not gonna work, right? Let me go ahead and just for now, I'm gonna kill that time transition. Maybe I'll have a drag effect. I do, perfect. I'm gonna press play. And now from any artboard that I have it wired up, I can press the menu button at the top and that menu slides out. You can also see the lovely background blur behind it. I can press anywhere on this art overlay because I have nothing else wired up and it'll nicely hide it. Then you can jump in. Maybe I don't want the snap effect. Maybe instead I want ease in and out. I can press play. That looks pretty good, and close it. Now at this point, there's a few ways to wire up your other menus, right? You can either manually just go in, grab this one, drag it over, do all the same things, then do it for the next one. However, because I've already wired up this menu here, I can very easily just copy it from prototype mode. Let me delete these ones, and then select these artboards, and then paste. And because I'm in prototype mode, when I paste, it's gonna also keep those interactions, right? You can also, let me show you one more way. If the elements are already there, like those menu icons were already there, I can copy it just like I did before. Select the menu here, hold down Command or Control, and then Shift. Select the menu on this artboard, right click, and then paste interaction. It'll do the exact same thing. So now, no matter which artboard I'm on, I can activate that menu, it slides out, I can press on it again, and slides back in. So it's, overlays are super cool. It also works with keyboards and things like that. It also works with search bars, for example. So let's say very quickly, we want to create a little bit of a search bar. Let me duplicate this. I'm going to delete all these elements, right? Very quickly, we're going to create a little bit of a search bar right at the top. Grab my rectangle, drag this out, round at the corners, zoom in here. Let's type out search. There we go. Maybe we want this to be regular. There we go. Maybe the border will just be a very subtle border, just like that. And let me grab that search icon, this one here. I'm gonna paste it, pop it right here. Looks good. Make this a little bit smaller. And what's cool about overlays is you don't need this massive artboard, right? You can just drag this all the way up and you can just have a little tiny artboard just for your search box. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Move this, pop that there. Make sure everything lines up really nicely. It looks like it does. It's not the prettiest search box, but you know what? It's gonna work for now. So now that that's ready to go, on any artboard, I can go back to prototype mode, select my search button, drag it over to this artboard here. It'll be tap, it'll be overlay, and now I can choose where I want it. So I'm gonna put it right about here to cover all those elements. And in this case, I do want it to slide, instead of right, it's gonna slide left. We'll have the in and out and duration of 0.4 seconds. And when I press play, press on the search button, it slides out, whoops. There we go. Press play, search, slides out. We've got our search interaction. We can close it. The menu pops out, and we're not taking up precious real estate space on our canvas. We're just using overlays for menus, search fields, keyboards, that sort of thing. And again, you can copy, go over to this artboard, this one, select your search elements, paste interaction, or you can just do it all at once by copying, pasting the entire element from one artboard, pasting it on all the others, and you're good to go. So let's take a look at where we're at. And again, I will be uploading this on Dropbox, probably, very shortly. So we've got our little loading screen here. It transitions to a login screen. That transitions to our home screen where we can then drag, and I've created a little bit of a parallax or some sort of a perspective. And then we've got our menu and we've got our search field. So that will just about do it. I will polish this up a little bit. I'll have this up on Dropbox by the end of the day. Stick around, got Terry White coming up with some really cool photography stuff in just a few minutes. And I will be back on Monday for day 5 of the XD Daily Creative Challenge. Thanks so much everyone for joining in, and I'll see you all next time.